Thank you. Thank you so much. Please sit down. Thank you so much. I want to start by thanking Pastor Poju for all he does. 2017, I was here last. I was minister. He's always where he needs to be. So then he just wanted to understand what was going on with the economy. And I came here and gave a presentation. And I find it very interesting now that 9 years on, he's talking about the same things that I'm thinking about, which is entrepreneurship. So when he called me and said, would I speak, I said to him, I said to him, absolutely. And I've had to rearrange my schedule. I don't want you to say, oh, I'll clap for me, but a friend's daughter is getting married somewhere very nice. I'll leave tonight because I actually think this is important. I think entrepreneurship, and I'm going to speak about a great idea, but I'm going to preface it by explaining a few things from an economic perspective so that you'll understand why I think this is important and why I think that Pastor Poju is onto something with what he's doing. So this country, and please, all those people that say in 2080, I think somebody's told me 2080 the other day, Nigeria is going to be the top, because I said, you people are crazy. But in 2080, I'll be 113 if Jesus tarries. We can't keep on pushing the thing forward. You know, in 2040, we're the biggest economy. In 2050, it keeps rolling, right? The only way we're really going to jump, and there's an opportunity now for Africa and therefore for Nigeria to jump, is when SMEs begin to grow, begin to scale. And that's why I started a new project, which I'll talk about a little bit. And that's why I felt I needed to be here. Interestingly, John Alamu, I traveled 6 hours to go and find John Alamu in Akure, because right now my life is about showing people that entrepreneurship can work, that businesses can be founded and businesses can grow. Because in Nigeria today, if you are employed, that is if you have a job, 80% of you are employed by SMEs. Forget government, forget the days when, you know, if you drive all around here, you see big industrial complexes that used to be factories, and a factory would open and employ 2,000 people. Those days are gone, and they're not coming back. They're not. What they're going to be replaced with is nimble, digital-based, intelligent, data-driven businesses. And the digital economy has leveled the playing field in a way that you wouldn't believe. You can walk into a shop in London and see made in Nigeria chin-chin for sale. You couldn't do that 10 years ago. In fact, once they heard that the product was from Nigeria, they wouldn't want to stock it now. The world is digital. You can get online, you can create an ecosystem, you can create a following, and we're seeing it. We've seen it in music, we've seen it in film, we're seeing it in sport, we're seeing it in tech, and I'm very happy that Tosin of Money Point is here. The next bounce of the ball could be yours. And that's why I'm here to just share a few ideas with you that I hope will open up your thinking. Let me start by a small confession, because some of you will know me as minister, commissioner, all those things they read are true. I am all of the above and more, but I'm also an entrepreneur. I've had 9 businesses. 6 have failed. 2 were draws, and 1 is struggling. And I say that with intentionality because failure is a part of business, okay? So and I say this, and it's very important as children of God to understand this, because this is where a lot of us get it wrong. So if you failed, did you pray? Was it a good idea? Was it a God idea? You know, you get those kind of miserable counselors when you fail. They sit down in front of you and say, so what happened? Did you pray before you started? Say yes. And what did God say? God said I should do it. Okay, so why has it failed? Now, these are logical questions, but they're not useful questions. Those are the questions that people went to Joseph when he was in the prison and said, so did you pray? Yes. Did you fast? Yes. So why are you in prison? But they haven't seen what you're learning along the journey. Every single failure Every single failure that I have had, and one day when I have time, I'll tell you about all my failed businesses. Many different. I had a Christian bookshop. How more anointed an idea can be a Christian bookshop? How more anointed can you get? So when the bills would come and I couldn't pay, they'd say, Father, this is your work. This is your word. I had scriptures that I was standing on. God gave the word. Great were the company of those who published it. I failed. Not only did I fail, I ended up paying debts. But you know what else happened? I learned. I learned what to do. I learned what not to do. So please, if there's anybody here who's failed and thinks that maybe it's not for me, I want to encourage you that if you get another great idea, and hopefully when I finish this presentation, I'll show you how to validate it. Not in a spiritual way, right? Because having a God idea does not exempt you from the market. Yeah? And being anointed, and even if Pastor Paul pours oil on your head, you are going out there, you will face competition. You will face unfair competition. You will face fair competition. You will face the impact of your own bad decisions. But it's part of the entrepreneurial journey. And it's an exciting journey. So I have a very bad habit. My staff have told me of getting them to present PowerPoints and then talking as I like. So today, I'm going to try to stick to what I've prepared. My presentation is called A Great Idea. And so I want to talk about the 4 laws that apply even for anointed ideas. Yeah? No matter how anointed your idea is, you are going to compete in the market. Angels do not bring customers. Trust me, I've prayed all kinds of prayers for business. Angels don't bring customers. Marketing brings customers. Lying on the floor in my shop, calling forth customers, pointing to the book, standing on scripture didn't bring customers. The business still failed. And I think this is where some of us miss it. We've heard from God, we're anointed, pay our tithes, serve in the ushers, and now we have an idea. Of course it's got to succeed. But I want to just ask you that there are 4 things I want you to put your idea through. After God has told you, because God has told you, and I'm sure you did hear correctly, but you also have to hear about these 4 things. So 1 is the market. Now, as I say, you can call your business anointed, children of God, small chops. You are going to compete with every other small chops. And I know some of us do that, right? We're trying to be really spiritual, kind of blackmail God, give the business a name that is embarrassing to God if it fails. My bookshop was called The King and I. How good is that? It failed. In fact, it failed and left me in debt. So, what is the market? Have you done your research? Do you know the market you're going into? I'll deviate a little bit and talk about the project that I've started, and this is the reason why I interviewed John, and today I'll be interviewing Tosin. I've started a project called Nidacity. It means Nigerian audacity. And what I'm doing is I am showcasing Nigerian business at a granular level. So I'm looking for entrepreneurs, I'm speaking to them. We are providing what we call inspiration, education, and resources to support businesses. So you go there, you read a story. You won't read Bill Gates, you'll read John Alamu's story. You'll read the story of the guy that started Mega Chicken. You'll read Tosin's story. So you will be able to understand where they failed, where they got it right, where they got it wrong, because business is a process. And anointing will not take you there. You've got to do the work. You've got to do the research. You've got to understand your competition as well as you understand yourself. And you don't do things like, and we do this again, God help us Christians. Sometimes we over-spiritualize things. So one of my failed businesses was a hair salon. And after I opened the hair salon, somebody else opened maybe 3 doors down. And then people would come and tell me, do you know what she's using? It's like, whatever she's using, she's beating my ass right now. So it's really not relevant. So let's not over-spiritualize competition. Competition is there for a reason. You need to study it. You need to know, okay, if they're using something, you two go and use your own now. You know, don't, when failure comes, sometimes the market is telling you something. Sometimes your product is not selling because the market is telling you it's wrongly priced. It may be anointed, but it's wrongly priced. Or you're facing the wrong market, or your timing is wrong. So don't because sometimes we get a little bit, and then we start having dreams. We start calling pastor in the night. I had a dream. I saw my competitor running after me. I think she's using, no. No, the Bible says by much activity a dream cometh. After a while you start dreaming of things. You've got to do your work. Being a child of God, being anointed, being in a covenant with Christ does not exempt you from the normal. In fact, if anything, it might make it tougher. It might make it tougher. But the good thing is, if you do the work, then the anointing becomes like the icing on the cake. It's not the other way around. You have to do the work. So understand your market. Who is your market? Who are your competitors? How do they react to you in the market? How are you marketing? Are you rightly capitalized? Have you jumped into business because, and this is one thing we're finding with Nidacity, and this is one of the things we're correcting. Let me rephrase something that John said, because I was listening to him. In Nigeria, because of the job situation, and that's why I decided to do what I'm doing, we have what we call entrepreneurs of necessity. They actually would rather not be an entrepreneur. They would really just rather earn a salary every month. But because there are no jobs, one auntie or one uncle then calls you and says, what are you doing? You better go and create your own job. And that's how some people have found themselves in business. Business they don't understand. They really, really would just rather on the 28th of every month, just let me see alert. And I think two things we've got to do. One, we've got to deliver some people from this idea that only being an entrepreneur is worth anything in Nigeria. It's a very dangerous logic, and I see it a lot. I see people that are doing really well. Last week, I think I was in Port Harcourt. Port Harcourt is oil and gas city. You have people saying, no, I want to be my own. Your own what? Do you want to sink an oil well? I mean, what do you want to do? So if you are called to entrepreneurship, that's great. But if you are not, don't let anybody call you to entrepreneurship, because you will fail. Anointed or not, you will fail. The same auntie that tells you that, don't worry, I will give you money, I will set you up. When her money goes, she will fight you. So don't be forced into entrepreneurship. What we need to do is to remove the entrepreneurs of necessity and give them opportunities to be the CEO, to be the head of HR, to be the head of legal, to be the company secretary, to be the financial controller, and they will be happy doing it. And that's why getting our small businesses, SMEs, growing is economically and politically important. And we need to stop this idea that everybody must be an entrepreneur. That's the problem in Nigeria. Everybody wants to have their own. Everybody must have their own. If you look at countries that succeed, they actually succeed by a few people growing big. So we need John to be bigger. We need Money Point to be bigger. We don't need Money Points. But some of you have come here to come and hear, cocoa, okay, I'm from Ondo, cocoa, he made money from cocoa. And off you go into the cocoa farm. You are going to fail, oh. You will fail. You will fail. You need to have your own idea. And it has to have the right timing, the right knowledge of the market. And then you have a chance of success. And then the anointing then takes you where you need to go. But without that, please don't, nobody should come and, anyway, I've told you my own story. I can tell you all my businesses had phenomenally Christian names. And they failed. So, let's go on to the numbers, which is something I'm very passionate about. You cannot run a business without knowing your numbers. You can't. You can't. And this is where a lot of businesses struggle. So we, again, I'm plugging, but Nidacity is a not-for-profit, it's a charity. We are working to help people to understand their numbers, because what we're discovering is, especially the creatives, the fashion, the catering, there's a lot of busy doing nothing. There are a lot of people that are busy, they're running around in circles, they're not making any money. And they don't know they're not making money because they don't know their numbers. So we started creating tools. We started running workshops. There's one next week for fashion and for catering entrepreneurs, which I'm teaching myself, getting down into the numbers. What is your revenue? What is your variable cost? What is your gross profit? There are 5 numbers you've got to know. 5. You must know them for whatever business you're in. your revenue, your gross profit, your net profit, your cash flow, your break-even point. If you cannot define them, please don't go into business. That should be the first thing you do. Research the business you're going into. Some businesses have very high gross margins, but you don't sell that many. So if you're a fashion entrepreneur and you sell an outfit for $500,000, your gross profit margin may be 300%, but you may only sell 4 in a month, and that's enough. A lot of us go into businesses where the margin is very low. The number of people I've had that come to me, especially these entrepreneurs of necessity, Auntie, please, can you loan me money? I want to start a business. Okay, what do you want to say? Provisions. Just look at them, please, can you? Do you know the margin on provisions? Do you know that the margin on provisions is like 2%? How many are you going to have to sell to make any money? So any business you want to go into, please go and do the research, ask the questions, go online, come to our website. We're doing profiles, we're breaking down numbers, we're showing people this business. So like cement now, on a bag of cement, do you know how little their margin is? So don't just see, and Nigeria can be funny like that. I'll tell you a little story. I think I've got enough time to tell you the story. So when I was in, and as you're doing your research, do it with skepticism, like, one eye open and a whole lot of wisdom. So when I was in financial services, we used to go out and look for deposits, look for money. And I had this client, I'd just come into the country from England, so I had this client, so they used to send me out because my accent was good, right? Then it's changed now, but my accent was really good then. And I used to go out to market, and I always used to get checks because I would just, hi, how are you? I just come back from London. And they'd be like, oh, this nice British girl, she's not going to steal our money. And so they would give us, I became I was actually employed as a financial controller. I actually became the top salesperson because, I just go out and just speak some English, and it was working. So we had this particular client in Lagos Island, and she said to me, where did you say that your office is? And it was in Marina, so I pointed to the building. She looked up, she said, yeah, okay, let me test you. So she gave us 5 million cash. And I was looking at this woman like, what business can this woman be doing to just, you don't know me. If I run away with this money, you're literally... Anyway, over time, she became a really strong client of mine. And I became, a friend. You know how you endear yourself to people. So she used to say wine. So I said to her, Ma, this wine business, it's like really good. And the entrepreneur in me is thinking, wine, okay, where do you get your wine from? So she said to me one day, she just looked at me, that kind of pity, like, you don't know anything. So she said I should follow her. So we get in the car, we drove. I'm like, okay, this is Ijebode, we're still driving, okay. Anyway, we finally get to some clearing, and I literally mean clearing. Those places where there's a sign that written said, this way to. It was, this way to, and so that's where we ended up. And maybe as far as the eye can see. So if you imagine this auditorium times 10, she had catfish ponds, little earthen catfish ponds. So I said, Mama, she said, I mean, we didn't have to talk. She said, and 3 of my friends are in wine business. So her wine was a cover. She said, if they know what I'm doing, they'll come and join me now. The 3 of them have gone to start wine. And So what am I saying? I'm saying do your research with wisdom. Some things are not what they seem. And that's why knowing your numbers will help you. Because some of you are competing with the subsidy. I was talking to a lady yesterday, she's a fashion entrepreneur, and she was telling me, she said, I can't figure out how her particular competitor is doing it at this price. And I said to her, you need to understand your competitor as well as you understand yourself. You have to if your numbers don't make sense, then there's something else. I'm not talking about something else like spiritual. I'm saying something else. Some businesses are only alive because, I won't say a husband, so let me say a wife. A wife who's successful is sitting down, seeing the husband sitting at home, so what are you even doing? Okay, well, yeah, go and open a business. Just be going out of the house. She's paying the rent. She pays the bills. So if you go and compete with that person on price, you will fail. Because that person only has one thing to do. They're not paying the rent, they're not paying the bills. So they'll just discount, and you will follow them, discount. Two of you will go down together. In 3 years, the subsidy will end, that person will pack up their business, and yours would have gone with it. So you have to know the numbers of your industry. You have to. You have to know them, with almost religious passion. Because that's the only way you can compete. So that way, if you see a competitor make a particular move, you should be able to cost it. And if you can cost it, you can say, no, I'm not playing that game. Like now, I was reading something where they were telling people, Black Friday, ignore Black Friday. Because a lot of people are making losses because they don't know their margin. They've cut their own to 20. Let me do my own at 15. Those are not your customers. They'll just come, they'll buy from you at 15 and they're gone. You're trying to build a business, you're trying to build customers, you're trying to build an ecosystem, you're trying to build a brand. And if your only strategy is cost cutting, I would strongly suggest you get out of business quickly. Because you will lose your money and you will lose motivation, which is very difficult to replace. It's really, really hard. I've failed before, right? The only thing is, with me, all my businesses were side hustles. So when I failed, I'll just my salary, go back to my career, lick my wounds. Sometimes, my mum would say, hey, what of that? I'm not doing that anymore, Moved on. But along the line, and this is where I started the whole Nidacity journey, I discovered something, which is that I'm a far better mentor than entrepreneur. And so I started mentoring people, and that's where this all started from. That, look, why can't I do this on scale? I can only mentor maybe 10 people at once. Do it properly. Be at the end of the call. Let's look at the numbers together. What should you do? What should you not do? I'm a better mentor than I am an entrepreneur. But if I hadn't been a failed entrepreneur, I would have been a rubbish mentor, if you know what I mean, right? Because honestly, the worst people, sorry, I shouldn't say this, but once someone says I'm a doctor of entrepreneurship, if you can't show me the business you've run, please help me, please. Because unless you've made salary, the entrepreneurs, how hard it can be some months to make salary. Or have to look at people in the eye when you haven't paid their salary and encourage them to keep working. It's hard. So you need to learn, which is part of what we're trying to do. Please learn from those who've done it. Come to platforms to this kind of thing. That's why this is exciting to me. Bring the people that have done it. Don't bring the people that say, an enterprise is, those lectures where you're not going to learn anything. What is a business? Let's start with the dictionary. They will start with the dictionary. Collins Dictionary said, you have nothing to teach anybody. Go and sit down. So let me move on. I'm trying to stick to my slides, and I'm not doing very well, but anyway, I hope you're getting something. Okay, that's good. That's what we want. Right, so law 3 is timing, and I can't stress this enough. Your timing, so God can give you an idea and tell you to go and incubate it. Go and incubate it. Go and learn everything you can about that industry. Go and immerse yourself. Go and equip yourself. I'm a very impatient person. And I look back on my failures, and I think a lot of my failures were having an idea and jumping. In fact, before God has finished the idea, I've already hired 3 people and opened a shop. And then I'm like, God, okay, what next? Then the prayer starts. Because sometimes it's a right idea at a wrong time. And sometimes you're in a job, and this is where some entrepreneurs make mistakes. You're in a job and you're, I just want to have my own business. I just want to have my own business. And you're not doing the other person's business particularly well. In that business where you are is where you can make the connections that will give you yours. So come, show up, be the best you can at everything you're doing. And as you're waiting for your idea, waiting for your opportunity, use it as a period of learning. Use it as a period of immersion. Know everything there is to know about what it is you want to do. So that when that opportunity does come, you're ready. You're ready. Prayer will not make you ready. It will assist your readiness, but you have to do the work. You have to do the work. And a lot of the people you're competing with, remember, they also pray, So don't think that it's not a contest of who can pray the hardest. Out there in the market, people that are praying are there. People that are praying to other things are there. People that are praying like you are there. And God is not inefficient in how he's a respecter of nobody. So don't think because I'm praying, I'm anointed, I served, I sang in the choir, therefore when I step out at the wrong time, I will succeed. You end up like me. You end up like me, you fail. You pay the debts, you move on. So, I'm speaking from hard experience. If I had more time, I would tell you about one of my businesses and how I failed, but I don't have the time. So the fourth law is the team, and I think John handled this better than I could have. You need a team. You can't do it all alone. You can't. You need a team. You need to build them from the bottom up. Recently, I did a recruitment. I couldn't find, because there's a problem in Nigeria, There's a real problem. Entrepreneurs are not calling out, but there's a real problem in Nigeria. Because as many as are unemployed are as many entrepreneurs that cannot get decent staff. I had a conversation with Alhaji Aliko Dangote recently, and he was telling me that he's having to he said, it's not that I want to employ foreigners. I can't get staff. Meanwhile, we have an army of people. Every day I'm seeing CVs. I just want a chance. I just want an opportunity. So something's wrong. Something's wrong. We need to understand where is the next bounce of the ball and be ready. Sitting there, I did a recruitment exercise. You ask people, okay, tell us about yourself. They start off with, and once somebody tells me their surname before their first name, I've already cancelled you before you even say anything else. My name is Makanjuala Tosin. So, what do we call you, Makanjuala? No, Makanjuala Tosin. You've already confused. Just say your name. I'm Tosin Makanjuala. Don't do that. People do that. Sorry, in interviews, very bad. When they ask you for your name, they're asking first name, surname. Please don't create problems for people and don't cancel yourself in interviews, because a lot of people do that. Anyway, we had this person, she came, she started that way, so I knew the interview wasn't going to go very well. And then she just listed all her qualifications. I did this, first school leaving certificate, this one, primary school, okay, what else have you done? Nothing. And that's the problem. So that person is going to struggle in the marketplace. You're a student, acquire skills. Now you can teach yourself anything on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. That's why with Nidacity we've got a very strong social media drive, because we realize that people are scrolling. Let them learn business while they're scrolling. Let them be inspired while they're scrolling. Don't just scroll, you know how there's this kind of content that, is consuming our time like a spirit. You just sit down, sometimes in my house, I just hear a laugh. Ah! I run over. What's that? See this monkey? The monkey is turning. Like, really? And that's what's making you laugh like that? It's a thief of time, oh. It's a thief of time. I'm not saying don't be entertained, but I'm saying, time is an asset. Time is an asset. So I'm going to quickly flick. So I'm going to then, I was going to tell you about Nehemiah, but go and read it at home. He's the biblical case study, of how I feel that an entrepreneur should approach a task and a business. He prepared, he prayed, he did all they need, but I'll leave Pastor Poju will do that one. Let's just move on to that. So, and I've talked about what I learned about God-given ideas in the real world, both in government and in the private sector. In government, it's the same problem. The same 4 laws apply. The same 4 laws apply. I had an idea, I wanted to do something, I ran into opposition. It's interesting when people talk about my tenure as minister, they say, oh, whistleblower scheme, oh, this one, oh, ghost workers. If they list how many things failed, you'd be shocked. You'd be shocked. But it's part of the process. So I've learned over time to discipline myself by applying those same rules to anything I do, whether government or private sector. Just stick to it. Just be rigid and be disciplined about it. What are the numbers? How's this going to work? Do I have the team? Because sometimes you have a good idea, you don't have the team to execute it. So what do? Should you outsource? Interestingly, one of the podcast interviewees was Zephans, and she said that for the first 3 years of her business, she did not sew a single item, because she realized that managing the tailors meant she wouldn't be able to grow the brand. So she outsourced all her production. It was only after 3 years that she actually bought her first machines. So understand your business, understand where you're going. I am running out of time, so I am going to close with Nigeria-specific reality check, the statistics tell us that 91% of our startups fail within 5 years. That's the statistic we're trying to change. And we see in that statistic a lack of rigor, a lack of things like this, a lack of learning, a lot of just jumping, and also our entrepreneurs of necessity. You don't have a job, or yeah, go and start something. That we hope and pray we'll be able to reduce. Finally, what do I want? I have an ask. I'd like you to please follow Nidacity on Instagram. I'd like you to watch our podcasts. John's podcast, you need to watch John's podcast. You need to watch John's podcast. John is quite inspirational. And Tosin is going to be recording his after. I've been privileged with this mission. God has been good to us. Some of the biggest entrepreneurs, I've been using my platform as a former minister to get them to talk. So last week I had Mrs. Alakija, I've recorded her. Tell us how you got here. And I'm doing that. I'm knocking on doors on your behalf to say, oh yeah, you're there. Tell us how you got here. So in exchange, shameless ask from you, please follow us on social media. They're not giving me a fee now, I have the right to ask. So, and we're a social enterprise, we're not for profit, you will see. So please follow us, like our posts, and share the information with another founder. There may be something on there, there may be a profile. We profiled a guy that is exporting hibiscus. People have gone back to us saying, this is inspiring us. And the final thing I want to share with you, and it's important, this idea that I want to start a business, but I don't have capital. Please, today, can we bury it? Put a gravestone on it and let it die. One of the things we're doing is we're featuring a whole series of entrepreneurs. We call it no and low. People that started with no capital or low capital. You'll be shocked at the businesses that started with 1,000 naira. You'll be shocked at one of the people that we've profiled. She now employs, I think it's 26 staff. Her first capital came from, she went to a party, she tied somebody's gilly and they liked it. So she tied 26 gillies in one day. That's how she got her seed capital to start a business. She now employs 26 people. So please, don't cancel yourself. Money is actually not the first thing you need. You need, first of all, a great idea. So there, I will close. Thank you so much for listening.
Wow, keep the applause coming.